Okay. They wanted somebody to say something political at this event. So, for the closing comments, I want to talk about the two reasons we had this rally today. As I said earlier, would you believe it's just coincidence that we are here in opposition to frac sand mining at the same time the frac sand industry is having a national conference here? Coincidence? Well, in all honesty, it's not coincidence. We did this intentionally. We are here to tell the frac sand industry directly, you are in for the fight of your life. We are all done with strict regulation and making a distinction between industrial scale mining and some other kind. Mining is the most destructive land use activity that any local government permits under its zoning, and frac sand mining is perhaps the worst mining because it makes possible hydraulic fracking, which is the most extreme, idiotic, environmentally damaging method of producing an oil and gas that there is. It has taken some of us a long time to come to a realization that the only sound, reasonable, enforceable, environmentally defendable, economically feasible way for state and local government to deal with the real threat of frac sand mining, that the real threat of frac sand mining represents to our well-being, is to ban it. But that is where we are now and until we win. To all frac sand miners over there in the Radisson having a martini, we are here to tell you that we are not going to let up until you are out of business. So put that in your 10-year business plan. In 1962, an environmental science book by Rachel Carson entitled Silent Spring came out. It documented the detrimental effects on the environment, particularly on birds, of the indiscriminate use of pesticides. Carson accused the chemical industry of spreading disinformation and public officials of accepting industry claims unquestionably. Sounds a lot like frac sand mining and hydraulic fracking for oil and gas, doesn't it? Yeah! For those of you who are not baby boomers, you need to know that Silent Spring launched the modern environmental movement. Former governor and U.S. Senator from Wisconsin, Gaylord Nelson, started Earth Day in 1970. And in the 70s, our government passed the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and created the Environmental Protection Agency with a Democratic Congress and a Republican president, Richard Nixon, no less.
Yeah. Yes.
Gotta get the next page here. In the last few years, a new Rachel Carson, a very smart young Canadian writer, Naomi Klein, is taking up a similar spot in contemporary history, bringing the same kind of public awareness and grassroots activism to the fight against hydraulic fracking. Outlined in her book, This Changes Everything, and the same movie by the same name, is a compelling indictment of hydraulic fracking, frac sand mining, continued reliance on fossil fuels, and indeed those parts of our economic system that promote these activities. And just like in the 1970s, her work has helped the world move to meeting the challenges of global climate change. Just 6 months ago at the Paris conference, 172 countries took a huge leap forward to save this planet from global warming caused by too much use of fossil fuels. The agreement isn't perfect, it probably doesn't go far enough, fast enough, but it's awesome, as my granddaughter would say. And so is President Obama's Clean Power Plan, and the fact that he is fighting for it every day is impressive in the face of unrelenting industry and political attacks. In case you haven't noticed, there's a presidential election this year. There are 3 very interesting candidates left in the running. One candidate has mobilized millions of Americans in a grassroots movement never anticipated by political pundits. He says, "We need a political revolution in this country." I agree completely. How about you? Another candidate says America is going to start winning again and we can make America great again. Well, I sort of agree, but it's not going to be in the way he thinks it's going to be. The third candidate is not so flamboyant. She says America has always been great. I tend to agree with her. I think we're going to rise to the challenge of addressing climate change. Our late Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone, who is arguably the Bernie Sanders of the U.S. Senate in the 1990s, used to say something like this: politics is about addressing the real problems of ordinary people in their everyday lives. In other words, politics should be relevant to what's going on in your life. If you're a South Sea Islander living a foot above sea level, what the world does to address climate change is pretty relevant to your life, don't you think? If you're a West Virginia coal miner, how we move away from coal to solar energy is going to be pretty relevant in your life and in your income. If you live next to a proposed frac sand mine in Houston County or Winona County, or if you live on a farm in Pennsylvania and when you turn on the tap and hold a match to it, it starts on fire, what your state and local government is doing is pretty relevant to your life. Every week I run into people who are pessimistic about the future. They feel that climate change has gone too far, that we can't muster the political will to do what we need to do as a global community. The second reason for this rally is to say to you, to convince you, don't be pessimistic. Let's make America great again, in the right way, not the wrong way, through unity of purpose, through stopping and reversing climate change, through ending hydraulic fracking, the worst way to produce oil and gas, and through rewriting our energy future. We are a great country. We are winning. We won in Paris. We win with the Clean Power Plan. In thousands of ways, we are addressing climate change, reducing our fossil fuels, and developing renewable energy. Last fall, polling showed that 70 to 80% of the American public wants climate change dealt with and addressed, including 60% of GOP voters. What we are doing today is not a reality TV show. What we are doing today is not a reality TV show. This is reality. Be optimistic, people. Believe in yourselves. Believe in the people around you, the people here today. Believe in our ability to ban frac sand mining, to ban hydraulic fracking. We are going to win. America is going to win. We are going to make America great again. We are going to ban frac sand mining.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Get to know one another. Hang out, have some coffee, go up to the root note. Thanks so much for being here.